Hello guys, I hope you're all doing well, and today we have another video, this time back in the BF109 G6, and this is probably one of my best games that I've played to date. This is a 5 kpm game in the G6, where we go 86 and 0, and something interesting I actually found about this game. I don't really focus on stats too much. I don't think you should focus on stats, but I found that I shot over 100% accuracy with the rockets this game, so I actually haven't had that before, I don't think. Well, I think I've had it a few times, but not this high, so again, some very accurate shooting. And I'm actually going to be commentating over this entire game and explaining exactly what I do to try to hit these kind of games. And especially on like a map like Alsan Dam, which you don't really see farm that much, it is very doable. I'll just be explaining exactly what you want to do. But to start with that, I'm actually going to show you guys the loadout I'm using in this video. Just to avoid any comments, I'm going to cut to a little clip of me explaining my loadout. One last thing real quick, if you guys like this gameplay, I stream on Twitch, currently trying to stream 3 days a week. My uni is back next week, so it's going to change the schedule a bit, but I will be announcing my Twitch streams every single time inside my Discord, which is linked in the description, along with my Twitter. So if you want to catch my Twitch stream, I'd recommend going and following that in the description, along with maybe my Discord and my Twitter, if you actually want to get there as soon as it starts, because I do announce them there. Once my uni settles in a bit more, I'll be able to have a really established schedule, but for this first week, just going to be figuring things out. Also, we are very, very close to 20,000 subscribers, almost 18,000 now, so if you guys aren't subscribed already and you like the content, I'd really recommend subscribing. While BF5 might be dead, if you guys are even slightly interested in Battlefield 6, I'm going to be providing some of the best content on YouTube, hopefully. Just trying to give a real in-depth look into the game and helping you guys improve like I did with BF5. Alright, so let's get into this loadout real quick. I'm going to show you guys the G6 loadout that I use in all my streams, all my gameplays now. This is what I'm running, and I think this is the most effective G6 in the game. So, here we go in specializations. You can see I'm all right hand side, and basically I run these cannons because it's good to have something that you can handle dogfights with. These will get rid of planes really, really quickly. This is also a good option, but I prefer having the dogfighting skills. Now, I used to run this, fin barrels, but I think high altitude package is just a better option. I don't like abusing this in dogfights. I'll never abuse this in a dogfight, but some maps just really require it. So like a RAS, for example, you really cannot fly without it. You just don't get enough altitude to be able to kill the AA across the map. So having that extra leverage on the AA, it's really, really nice. Also Panzerstorm, you really need this one. Every other map you can kind of do without it, which is what I used to run, but honestly I think it's just worth keeping it on. I can't be screwed just going and resetting my loadout each game, like, oh, this map I use this map I use that. I just keep it on high alt package. This isn't that useful. It's still a good upgrade, but it's not as useful as people say it is. Now, this is the star of the show right here, the 2x WFGR 69123777. These rocket pods are really insane. They basically one-shot infantry. They do about 60 damage to the tanks. They're just really, really good rocket pods. They're pretty accurate as well. You need to learn the convergence on it, which I'll explain in the video. But all in all, very, very good secondary weapon, whatever, rocket pods. Probably some of the strongest weapons in the game. And for the last upgrade, you can't really justify that, so I just use reinforced wings. It's really good to have reinforced wings against the VB Spitfire because the cannons are so strong on those, they'll take your wings right off if you don't have this. So, Alsan Dam, it's one of the maps that you don't really see farmed that much in Battlefield 5. You don't see this map even played that much. It's one of the probably worst maps in the game, but I have managed to farm a 5 kpm game on this map. So, how you ask? Well, this is a really, really insane map due to one thing in specific, which is the distance from the resupply to the fight is insane. It's so close. You can basically shoot from the resupply, which makes the KPM on this map absolutely nuts. However, there are some catches that will kind of prevent you from having super like nutty matches like you could on Field or something like that, because as you'll notice, there is a lot of haze on this map. It is very, very hard to spot people, and you're going to have to get a bit closer, and what this means is you're going to need a lucky lobbyist well in a way. Like, if they were all Fliegerfausting me this game, I'd be pretty much fucked. I would not be able to kill anything but the spotted targets, which my team isn't doing a very good job of this game. Usually you get way more spotted targets than this, but I'm getting a few every strafe, which is quite good, but, it's not as much as you'd usually have. So, the other thing I like about this map is notice how high the resupply is as well. So generally what you'll do is you'll go to the resupply and then you'll get altitude and then you'll strafe. However, on this map, you don't really have to. You're already high enough. You can just strafe straight from the resupply as soon as you turn around. But since I am, getting very close with these strafes, and you will see me actually later in this game, I'm going to be using the guns a lot. But since I'm getting close, I like to get nice and high and get my speed extremely fast. What this allows me to do is be in and out really quickly, and the enemy doesn't have much chance to Fleegerfaust me. Obviously, if they're looking really high up, they might see me, but on this map, I've turned my black camo off actually, and I'm using a greener kind of camo. And this should allow me to, you know, sneak in from really high up, full speed, in the haze. They can't even see me coming half the time, and 2 rockets and I'm out. However, I do actually get some more confidence, as I said, later in this game, and I will be using my cannons a lot more. So what are the main threats in this map? Well, there is an AA, I believe, in the spawn somewhere. I can't remember where it is, but it is in a position where the enemy aren't really inclined to use it that much. So you almost don't have much AA pressure. What the enemy team can do, though, is that they can use a Fleegerfaust, of course, and that will put you in some trouble. As far as the US team goes, though, the P-51D is severely underpowered in the dogfight, so if I encounter a P-51 in the dogfight, if I was cheesing it, I could just fly at the skybox. If I'm not cheesing it, I can just abuse my supercharger and play energy against him. If you're using the P-51K, it's a bit of a harder dogfight, but still, I just feel confident enough in the G6 where, you know, a 1v1 isn't going to kill me. It's going to be something like, you know, an AA, or even the P-70 Night Fighter, which I'll do a video on soon, because that thing has 12 M8 rockets, and they do 70 damage each to a plane, so you gotta be careful for those. It's like the Mosquito with the cannon. You just gotta treat it like an actual fighter. That thing needs to die at all times. As you can see now, we're starting to use the cannons a bit more, and one of the things you'll notice me do that a lot of other pilots aren't doing yet is using the smoke on every exit. It's really strong. If you fly on yourself and an enemy is smoked in front of you, you'll know how hard it is to kill them. Imagine as the infantry, you're not even chasing them, he's just flying away, and you got a full smoke screen. That shit is very strong, and assuming that you can keep a fast entry and a fast exit, once you put smoke on that, you're almost never going to die, I find. So that's a really good tactic. And also just, you know, using some real life tactics here as well. Like, you know, the A-10s in real life, they'll pop over a hill, they'll dump like, you know, a 3-second burst or something and pull off. I try to use hills as well in Battlefield. It's very strong. You can exit straight over a hill, and as soon as you're out of line of sight, they can't shoot you anymore, of course. So something like that is a cool thing to keep in mind. In this case, I probably could have just dipped down and went to the other resupply. I start doing that later in the game, but using natural cover is always a very strong strategy on this map, especially. And especially in like BF4, there's a lot of maps that have insane natural cover, like Shanghai, for example. You could be if you're a really good pilot on Shanghai in BF4, getting a bit off track here, but you basically don't need flares there. And on Hainan Resort, you can use the building, and you can see here I'm adjusting my sensitivity a little bit. Just trying 1600 DPI out on the planes, and my kind of third-person sensitivity feels really good. I can track planes with that really well, but my first-person sensitivity felt a little bit slow, so I'm upping that a little bit, and we're going to see how it feels. So I'm trying 178 now in the plane. And now after the gameplay, I can tell you that I'm very happy with the sensitivity, and I'll be sticking to this, I think, for as long as I want, and if I get bored of it, I'll change it. But these are my sensitivities on screen right now. If you guys want to copy the sensitivities for whatever reason, these are the ones I use. Anyways, getting a bit more on topic again, so what you'll see now is I'm getting much more confident in this game, and I'm going to be starting to strafe infantry with the cannons as much as I can. Now, the cannons on this plane are severely underrated. Most pilots will not actually make any use of these, but I think 4-hit kill on infantry, or maybe a 3-hit. And especially you'll see me, I try to aim a little bit like higher, so maybe upper chest level, and you see that gets me headshots like that, right there. The bullet deviation will just give you the headshot half the time, and that's going to insta-kill. Just any headshot with the plane cannons, they tend to do so much damage, about 63 usually, you know, 60, 67 damage in the head. These plane cannons absolutely shred, so it's very much worth using them when you can. So what I actually tend to do with plane cannons though is I'll start off the match going as hard as I can, you know, using plane cannons. I'll be using rockets, I'll be getting closer, and I'll be using my smokes and evasive tactics after strafes. And I'll see how hard I can push it. I'll see if the enemy is going to Fleeger me, going to see if they're going to AA me very hard, and if they're not, I'll keep on playing like that. But as soon as I, you know, get Fleegered, whatever like that, I'll dial it right back. I won't be as aggressive anymore. But if they're not going to Fleeger you, then you may as well just strafe them as hard as you can and punish them for it. That's one thing that a lot of people don't do. Everyone has like a default way to play, which is just, you know, super far away, extreme range, all that kind of stuff. But I think it's good to be a bit more dynamic than that. You know, feel out the game. Each different game is going to have a different playstyle that you might need to farm in the optimal way. So I tend to try to feel that out right at the start and then adjust accordingly. Anyways, this map is just, it's becoming one of my favorite farming maps right now. I've only played it, this is my first full round in the G6, I think. And you do get it on the second sector, I believe, so if you're a bit worried about not having a G6 on that first sector, you gotta wait till this one here, and then the G6 is available for spawn. But it's just so good, it's amazing. You only have one enemy plane as well, which is good, so you don't have to worry about a 2v1 or 3v1, God forbid, or a 5v1 or a 6v1 on VL. It's just a 1v1, so if they use a bomber, you can pretty much just say, I don't need to kill that, I'll leave it. If they use a P70, you gotta kill that. If it's a P51, you gotta kill that. It's just that kind of thought process that you gotta kind of keep in your mind. Anyways, you'll see with the convergence here, I was going to explain in the video, and I'll actually get to explain that now. So basically, what you want to do with these rockets is treat them as two separate weapons. So there's the right rocket and the left rocket. And the right rocket fires first, and the left rocket will fire second, of course. So basically what you want to know here is that the rockets are calibrated so they cross over each other and kind of intersect at a certain distance. However, in Battlefield 5, we're going to be firing these rockets from a much further distance usually than what they're actually calibrated for. So what you have to do here is you have to aim the right rocket to the right of the target at long range and the left rocket to the left of the target at long range. And you also have to account for movement in the target and all that, and also drop. So if you're strafing from a shallow angle especially, and you're really far away, even this angle right here, I would have to aim my rocket up and to the right for my first one. And then I do up and to the left for the second one, but up at this range where I'm cannoning right now, you don't have to do anything, you just aim straight at them. Anyways, I'm gonna pull out here real quick, and I'm trying to strafe from behind their spawn. Unfortunately, the AA has spotted me, so that thing is going to have to die. It's a bit hard to spot it, you just get to see the ring, I guess, and you know where it's gonna be. And as you can see, aiming to the left of the target on the second rocket, to the right of the target on the first rocket, and they hit dead on. You don't have to fire two rockets at anyone once you land this convergence. You should be able to get efficient enough with them to use one rocket per kill. And you know, this convergence will apply to anything. So the wing mounted machine guns, you have to kind of try to aim to the right or left of the target sometimes to make sure they hit. It's something that you want to keep in mind whenever you're using anything that's mounted on the wings, which is why a nose mounted weapon in this game is a bit of an advantage. Anyways, that's just kind of stuff that we actually go over on this channel, so again, if you're not subscribed already, I like trying to bring this kind of content to you guys, because you know, DICE clearly didn't intend for these rockets to have this much range. They intended for them to converge at a certain point and us to use them at that point, but just by learning these kind of tips, you can fire them from pretty much across the map. I've shown on stream many times, pretty much killing AAs with about a 5-second travel time on my rockets. You can really snipe from a long distance if you get good with them. Anyways, we're using the same tactics again here, so I'm trying to use the mountain, and it just works a treat. You can pretty much duck around the mountain whenever you want, and it's a really good escape tactic. And we're actually narrowing down on the end of the game right now, so 96 tickets left, and I'm going to be farming it up here. I'm pretty much realizing that my team isn't doing much. We are winning the game, we're doing very well, but I'm doing most of the work, I think. Like, if you look at the kills, I have like 4 times anyone else's kills, and the ticket feed seems to mainly go down when I'm strafing. If you look at the kill feed right now, the enemy team is actually fragging us a lot. We're pretty much going even, if not negative, with them, and defense is usually an advantage, right? If you play Battlefield 5, you'll know this, but defensive team just usually will have the advantage in a game, just because it's kind of easier to kill people on defense. And what I did right there was really dumb. I shouldn't have flown that low. I should have kind of went straight down and then did a little dip around the mountain like last time. I don't even know what I was thinking. I'm getting a bit too cocky now with these techniques for flying, and sometimes it will get me killed flying like that. Anyways, right here, I noticed that there's a lot of people usually around the house and also this little hill here, so I like to try to get a bit further out. Just try to set up a better angle so I can shoot people up on that little ramp thing. I don't know what to call it, but there's a little ramp where the enemy often stacks up, and I like to try to get a decent angle so I can get splash damage onto it. Anyways, I see a bomber here, sorry. Just quick identification, and I'm pretty sure it looks like an A20 bomber, so not really worried about that thing. If it was a P-70 night fighter, that's when you have to try to, you know, be careful. And that's something as well that it's very niche, it doesn't help that much, but just being able to identify planes, and if you guys watch my stream, I crash once a day, and that's my daily crash right there. But yeah, what I was saying is it's really good to be able to identify planes. So for example, you go into a dogfight with a Spitfire, and you see the 2 wing mounted cannons. And that means that he's not going to have an instant repair. So what you can do is you can just hit him for 45 damage and then fire both your rockets at him and insta-kill him. Whereas if you're fighting a VA, you know he does have an instant repair if he has the 8 wing mounted cannons, which are very obvious to see. And you know, you can fight that accordingly. Basically, you need to do more damage with your cannons, and then you can use the rockets. It's just that kind of stuff, like just knowing exactly what you're up against every time. It will really help you. You can do it against the G2 as well. So like if you see a G2, you'll know that he probably has an engine upgrade if he's flying it really sweaty, and that could be a real pain to dogfight against. It's stuff like that where, especially on the Pacific theater as well. I'm just giving heaps of examples here, but the old bomber variants, so the M2 and the 1C, so M2, 0, 1C Corsair of course, those things are dog shit at dogfighting. The cannons are really bad, and you can instantly tell them apart because the good variants are both white, so it's a white 0 and a white Corsair. So that kind of stuff just really, really helpful, guys. It's kind of stuff that you want to think, what am I fighting, what are their weaknesses, what loadouts they're going to have, you know, how can I abuse that? It's generally what you want to do. Anyways, with 36 tickets left, I'm just kind of thinking this could be my last strafe, so I may as well make it count. And each strafe I'm treating as my last, so, you know, getting my rockets, going with the cannons, setting up my angle, so I like to strafe at about a 50-degree angle, maybe 45-degree angle. So you can set the angle up, obviously, by just, you know, flying up straight until you get to that point, then you dive down. I don't know how to explain that, but basically, you know, 50, 45 degrees, that's about where you want to be for this plane. It gives you a good amount of splash damage to the rockets. You know, you get plenty of time to shoot with the cannons. You don't get too much speed, because if you get a lot of speed in this plane, the plane will actually fight you to aim it. It will produce too much lift, and you'll have to nose down while you're aiming, and that's just a pain to deal with. So I don't really like doing that. I just try to set up my angle right, and I don't even have to worry about it. And we're just flying this path from resupply to resupply. I'm not sure if it's very effective, but I actually know it's 18 tickets, and I think, you know what, I might actually not get another strafe after this. So I go back in, and we try to rack up another 2 kills there. Very worth it, and now we're going to go to the close resupply again. I think, honestly, the optimal farm might be to do this resupply up here on the hill only. But I like using both of them just to keep the enemy guessing, and if they don't know where you're going to come from every time, it's just a lower chance of getting Fliegerfausted. But I think we've established this game that the enemy team just is not using Fliegerfausts, and I don't understand. A lot of you guys in the comments are saying that you encounter a lot more Fliegerfaust than I do, for example, but I just don't see it. I've joined NA servers, I've played on EU servers, I've played on OCE servers, Asia servers, and you have your hard games, right? But you're going to have your easy ones as well. And lately, like, I don't think people are really exploiting this as hard as I do. Like, I will go as hard as I can until I do get Fleegered, and then I'll go in and I'll be more careful. But I think people actually have to realize that you don't have to fly like a pussy every time. You can play really aggressive until you have to dial it back, and then you do so, and you get less kills per minute. But if the enemy team's going to let me get 5 KPM on like this game, I'm going to take that. And here's going to be the end of the game. We're going to rack up 1, 2 kills, and that's going to seal the deal. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this gameplay. That's going to be the end of the game. 0 tickets. We have won it. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. It's Al Sundown, a map that you don't see farmed very often, and we just pulled 5 KPM on it. So if you like this video, like it. If you want to leave a comment or some feedback, criticism's always appreciated, so comment that. And if you want to see more, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.